Hi there, and this is Michael from OTC Online TOEFL and I'm going to listen to your practice test that you sent me. I think you sent a couple of them yesterday, right? So as long as you don't send another one today, I'll go ahead and listen to both of them, so I'll get them both done right at the same time. Okay, so I have the speaking, I have the independent speaking rubrics here. And let's see how you did. So I'm going to start you out as a 3 without listening. As I listen, do I want to keep you in the 3 range? Do I want to go below the 3 range, or do I want to go above that? So let's see how you did with this practice test. All right, here we go, buddy.
I disagree with the policy that a university is required most of its students to carry their own laptop with them. First of all, I think most of the universities worldwide nowadays have at least one library for each campus, and in each library there is a place or room, floor for students to use the university computers. Therefore, students do not need to carry their own laptop with them. Furthermore, it's pretty heavy for some students to carry their own laptop with them, especially if they have registered more than 15 credits in the semester. That's why I think it's kind of hard for. I disagree with the.
Okay. So, hey, you're doing a little bit better on your delivery. You're doing better with your pacing. You don't have as many awkward pauses and hesitations, right? So that's good. That's a good sign. So you're making some progress here. I'm going to put you between 2.5 and 3, maybe closer to 3, so maybe 22, 23 points out of 30 approximately. Let's listen to it one more time and let's see if I can find any specific errors.
I disagree with the policy that a university is required.
No, I disagree with the policy that the university should be required. I think you want to say should be there, not is. Right? So I think that's a language use issue. I think the modal works better in that case.
Most of its students to carry their own laptop with them. First of all, I think most of the universities worldwide nowadays have at least one library for each campus, and in each
They have one library and say campus. Don't forget the P. Campus. Campus.
library there is a place or room, floor for students to use the university computers.
And say to use the university's computers. And that's a good example there that you're using.
Therefore, students do not need to carry their own laptop with them. Furthermore, it's pretty heavy for some students to carry their own laptop with them, especially if they have registered more than 15 credits
Especially if they've registered for 15 credits. So you're missing a word there. Hold on, let me listen.
in the semester. That's why I think it's kind of. Therefore, students do not need to carry their own laptop with them.
And then with the R, not carry, but carry. So the R, you're pronouncing it like you pronounce in your language, but it's more carry, carry.
Furthermore, it's pretty heavy for some
It's more not furthermore, but furthermore.
students to carry their own laptop with them, especially if they have registered more than 15 credits in
So especially if they've registered for more than 15 credits there. Don't forget the ED at the end of the word registered.
the semester. That's why I think it's kind of hard for. I disagree with the policy that a university.
Okay, so I think on this one, you are having some problems with your delivery, with your tone. You can probably vary your tone a little bit. You're still having some pacing issues, but you're doing better than you did before. So I really feel you're making some progress with the speaking, especially with the delivery area. But you can still improve, I think, thought groups and blending and also intonation. You can learn about those by going to pronunciation lessons 36 through 40 and then 41 through 44 there. Language use. I think you have fairly good control of your language use, but be careful, for example, of grammatical word endings like EDs or S's, those kinds of things. Make sure you're pronouncing those endings so we can understand what's happening to the verb. And then topic development, it looks like you had a pretty good organization of ideas. You had some examples in there to illustrate your point, so that's good. So I think my score is fairly accurate. I'm going to put you maybe 22 to 23 points out of 30 on this practice test. Now, in another email, you sent me a question here. I thought it was another speaking task, but it's not. So you see, I have a question regarding this question. So it looks like you're talking about, I think, integrated task number 3, right? So do I have to speak out the definition of the concept from the article or the passage, since the question always requires us to provide information from the lecture only? I would do both, because the reading passage provides context to help us understand what's happening in the lecture. Then we can see what the connection is. Okay, let me show you this. I want you to go over to my online TOEFL course, and I think it's TOEFL Integrated Speaking Strategies lesson number 1. And look at that particular lesson. Let me see if I can find an example here. Template for speaking task number 3. Yeah, you can look at this. Look at this particular template here, right? You can see this. Now remember that you don't copy exactly this template. You want to create your own template, but this just shows you how you can structure it. But do not copy any of my templates here. So then it kind of looks like this. If you look at the model response, right, this is how much time I spend on the reading passage. Not very much, right? And then this is how much time I spend on the listening passage here. So we have the reading passage explains an academic concept called nonverbal communication, and the professor in the lecture gives 2 examples to further illustrate the idea. Nonverbal communication, according to the reading passage, is described as any type of communication without words. Furthermore, smiling, frowning, nodding, shaking hands, and waving hands are also considered forms of nonverbal communication. Moreover, the professor in the lecture clarifies the concept of nonverbal communication further by giving 2 specific examples. Firstly, the professor explains that nonverbal communication can happen without intent. For example, any person who furrows his eyebrows can inadvertently send a message to someone else that he or she may be upset. Secondly, nonverbal communication, according to the professor, cannot occur unless it is sending an implicit message to someone else. Therefore, if no one else is there to interpret those motions, then no nonverbal communication is taking place. To sum up, the professor shows through these 2 examples that nonverbal communication can happen by accident, that there must be at least 2 people in order for this unspoken communication to occur. So what you can remember here is it's a good idea to include a short introduction that explains the main point from the reading and the lecture. And then you spend maybe 5 to 10 seconds explaining the most important point in the reading passage. Then you spend the rest of your time explaining the lecture. And that's probably a pretty good way to answer integrated task number 3.